we are the generation. You know, the iconic moment where Andre 2000 and Big Boy went on stage and was like, the South got something to say. You know what I mean? I feel like that's where we are. No, as Barbados artists, like Barbados has something to say.
There's a vibe outside. Real G's party of the night. She got a kind of body I would figure for a model, but she's squatting for that festival type.
I would just say the generation different. You know what I mean? The things that Tech and Billy and Osman and Sun Rock and Tap and a lot of the contemporaries, they were born in a different time. In terms of like the reason why they didn't reach as a mainstream appeal internationally as some would have liked was not because of any lack of talent. It was just because of the music business. You know what I mean? Like the music industry is a lot back in them times, like the early 2000s, 2010s, and even to some extent. I mean, though, you know, music kind of changing. It's all about the business. It's all about who you know. It's all about where you at. It's all about who backing you. It's all about which manager or which A&R present you to which label to get you this funding. And, you know, unfortunately, in the Caribbean and especially, well, I would really more say predominantly Barbados, the music business is kind of our weak spot. You know what I mean? For me, no, personally, I think I do struggle with a lot of things that they did, were just not in a different context. I feel for me, it's like I use my music to talk about stuff that I'm interested in. And like we were talking about off camera, like I consume a lot of different media, you know, so I might read something in a book, or I might read something in an article, or I might hear something or like from an elder or somebody that I see as a contemporary or a peer, and that might spark my mind to like write a song. You know what I mean? On Rap Basket, I got a song called Chasing the Dragon. And Chasing the Dragon is a terminology for using heroin. Like sex workers and prostitutes would say they're going to chase the dragon because they're going to shoot up on heroin, right? And I had a friend of mine who overdosed on heroin, and I wanted to kind of take that term and build a song about it. Even to material that I don't know, things like Sugar, you know, it has a very sensual, sexual kind of vibe to it. When you listen to the lyrics, the song is about how sugar relates to us as a society in terms of how we consume it, how sugar relates to us as a society in terms of like how we would say, man, yo, that girl's sweeter. Like, where did that term come from, and how did we sexualize something like that, and how does that relate to Crop Over, which is a festival about the crop being over, and what was our main crop? Sugar, you know? So it's like, yeah, I got layered records like that because that's how I look at the world. I look at the world as the simplest things could have the most complex tape around them, you know, like in terms of like sugar treaties. And if you look at some of these sugar treaties, atrocious, dog. Like what we sell sugar for, or what we get sugar back at, you know what I mean? Even if, like, put Sugar out of the context, because I feel like I always mention that song a lot. Like, even if you look at things like Home, you know, on Home, I'm talking about how it feels like to return to Barbados after a long journey or after a trip. It just feels like home. They got things here that you just can't get the same way other places. Like, you know, that like sweet bread, them conkeys, them fish cakes, you know what I mean? Just the smell of the air in Barbados, just like, you know, funny enough that I talking to you, I kind of romanticize Barbados in a way. But I see it as something worth romanticizing, you know what I mean? Like, I am just another cut off the branch of an Adrian Green, or another cut off the branch of a Kamal Bradford, or another cut off the branch of a DJ Simmons, or a Tef, or a Ruby Tech, or a Easy Billy, or a Sun Rock, or whoever else that come before me, because, like, you know what I mean? I got obligation to want my grades to be real, you bro, and I know this can sound like super pretentious, like, I don't really care about being successful in that sort of way, you know, bro. Like, to me, it's like 10 years from now, when I finish music and I make all the records I can make, I want to be able to look back and say, you know what? I tried. You know what I mean? If it's anything, and that's one of the things that I love about Come On Brafford. Like, he might have not gotten all the universal acclaim that he should have gotten, but the people that do know about him and the people that appreciate his poetry, his work, you know, his body of like books and anthropologies and shit like that, like, he could sit in heaven right now and be like, yo, you know what, dog? I put my journey out there, you know, like, I write about real shit. You know what I mean? And it's like, I'm not concerned about what my contemporaries doing, because to be honest, none of we ain't win no Grammys, none of we ain't on Billboard, and none of we ain't charting nowhere. So until I get there, nobody could talk to me about shit. You can give me advice, you could tell me, yeah, bro, you know, you might want to improve your singing here, but there are only a few people that I have met in this journey that have done things on that level that I respect, the level of, if they pull me one side and tell me, you know, like Taff used to tell me all the time, yo, bro, like, you know, look at tracks a little differently, you know, than instead like very them. And Ruby too, like, used to tell me, yo, bro, look at melody, like, you got a great voice, use that. You know what I mean? Like, I would take advice from people who've been through it, who've been trying. But you know, to me, if you ain't trying, like, if you ain't out there, like, doing the hard work, like the like playing in the hours, like writing the songs, you know, going out there and living life, you know, like, I find like rappers these days want like talk about stuff that they hear on records, but like they're not out there living life. You know, they're experiencing things, and for me, like, it's all about the experience. They're trying to keep it as authentic as possible. You know, I'm from Barbados, so I can rap with Barbados. You know what I mean? Just like how Andre 3000 is from Atlanta, so you rap about Atlanta. You know what I mean? So, well, the South, and yeah, that's my goal. My goal is to write songs about here, the good, the bad, and the ugly in between. You know, yeah. I would say it's funny you touch on social commentary, because that's probably like the social commentary is probably the most like aspect of our culture that I really would gravitate to in terms of like what it does. You know what I mean? Soca music for me is something that I consume pure for enjoyment. Like, for me, it's not. There is nothing about that affects my music. I'm not affected by soca in any way. In terms of like sonically, the feeling of soca, no, that's different, because like soca is you can use it for a spectrum of things. You know what I mean? And yeah, but for me, I would definitely say I'm inspired by the truth tellers, you know, and even like, and I find like we are a very sporty society, in the sense that like we use comedy almost as a medium or relief for like issues that are very serious, but it's like that's the way we learn, in a sense. You know what I mean? That's why like online comedians will always have that light in Barbados, because it's either we laugh at it or we cry. And we ain't got no more tears to shed, so you might as well laugh at it. You know? How many more TKYs? How many more wake up no's? How many more carrot bars? How many more of these things that got happen here for we to realize that they ain't a quick fix for money? You know what I mean? How many more hotels promising us jobs forever, but we ain't getting paid out from them? You know what I mean? How many more business places not upholding proper etiquette or mediums for you to retire, you know? How many more, you know, like, how many more? You know what I mean? It's like, are we going, like, it's like John King, another person too, that will play in that category of people who like talk about issues. It's like, how many more of these things must we really go through before we really wake up and tell ourselves, you know what, enough is enough, you know? But you see, the thing is about Barbadian society is that we've been stifled for so long. Like, slaves used to be afraid to come here, bro, because Barbados was where you send slaves to be broken. You know what I mean? To be docile, to be neutered, whatever word you want to use. And that society, that feeling still exists in our society today, and is in a situation where a group of Barbadians will be angry about saying, and that'll be 20%. The other 80% will be like, man, but you know, saying that ain't really gonna change that, you know. So that sense wasting the time for that. You know what I mean? And it goes back to the whole revolution thing when my politics teacher again is like, some people willing to pick up the arms, but not everybody willing to pull the trigger. You know what I mean? Some people willing to support you from afar, but not everybody willing to buy a record. You know what I mean? Some people might say they love you, but not everybody willing to do the work. You know, and that's life in general. You know what I mean? So I know I just went off tangent. To go back to the whole question, I would say, yeah, like one of the things about Barbadians is that we are a very, there ain't nobody in the world like us. You know what I mean? The way we think about things, the way we look at the world, even the way we joke about things, unique in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, big up Lord Sen, one a good friend of mine. Like just how he's approached comedy too. You know what I mean? Is interesting. And the musicians of my generation, I would say like people like Taff, people like Chris Irie, people like Lee Phillips, like we definitely got stories to tell, and it's unique to us. People like Sam Songs, now my day big at Sam, you know what I mean? Like is unique, and you know we are the generation. You know, the iconic moment where Andre 2000 Big Boy went on stage and was like, the South got something to say. You know what I mean? I feel like that's where we are. No, as Barbadian artists, like Barbados has something to say, and whether it be Amanda Reefer or me, like. No matter what skill we're looking at, all of us trying to like put a message out there. Nah, I still looking for it. I mean, I know in the process of like rating. So it's like, for me, one of the hardest things about Rap Basquiat for me is gonna be finding that balance between Barbadian topics and world topics. And how do I find that middle ground? Because to me, sometimes I be rating something, I'm like, nah, I forcing this. I trying to be too political, or I trying to be too funny, or I trying to be too braggadocious, or I trying to be this too much shock value in this. Like, I trying to say too many things to spark anger in people. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I would literally write shit to make people angry. You know what I mean? Or I would write a bar about like politics, or I would write a bar about like gender politics, or like women relations or men relations in terms of like stereotypes, you know what I mean? And they'll be like, nah, but I'm trying to be too edgy here. Like, nah, I ain't go with that. So to me, that's always been the balance of my music. How do I have enough of everything? Sonically, I think I figure out what the Sivers the third sound is. It's just trying to create more of those. So like Bridgetown is definitely my song. Like that vocal chop, the melodic choir harmonies, you know, Bombsy is definitely my song. That dancehall bop, that real dark and haunting with like light-hearted lyrics on top of that. Like I have found pocket songs in my career have given me pockets of things that work for me. I know it's time for me to kind of double back around and zero in on that. I would say Sugar's was a great development for me as a writer too, because like Home, another great song, where like I feel like I kind of capture what I was trying to do. So if I could create more moments like that, that's what Rap Basquiat is like. Definitely taking that Sivers third song and polishing it to a way that like, because when you press play on this record, it wants to be, there ain't nothing in your mind that just saying, yo, it's my heart. That is the sort of reaction I want. You know what I mean? Or yo, this different. I wouldn't have went here with that. Like I wouldn't have used that hook, or I wouldn't have chosen that phrasing, because I still want it to be unique to me. You know what I mean? And that's what Rap Basquiat is. If you look at the name of it, Rap Basquiat. Jean-Michel Basquiat, paying this artist who used to like mix social issues, human anatomy, and contemporary art to create his pieces, right? I feel like that's what rap is for me. I take issues of social, issues of economic, issues of songs from folk, songs from R&B, songs from rap, and I kind of mesh it into this painting. Like all my songs are like my paintings. All my songs are like these unique things that you could listen to it on a surface level and you might not get anything from it. You know what I mean? Or you could listen to it on a level where it's like, yo, I really see, like Bridgestone is an example of that. You know, car seat pushing capital in a caravan. My backyard's a stone throw from the Badlands. Like I literally just telling you, yo, I remember days traveling in my mother caravan, and where I live is just like a stone throw from where shit was going down, in Black Rock. And second verse talks about political issues. I see people starving. I see people struggling. I see people on welfare. I've seen people not be able to afford their rent this month. And that's a real reality for a lot of Barbadians today. Especially in these times when you can't find chicken or eggs, like or milk. So basic things you think you should have, isn't readily accessible. And those things really made me sit down and think about life, like, where we went wrong, like how we get here, Yeah, so for me, Rap Basket is about zeroing in on that song, trying to figure out how do I take what I'm doing now and throw gasoline on that. How do I magnify that song? And whether it be the marketing, the packaging, the branding, the behind the scenes stuff to it, the in front of the camera side to it. Like, and that's why Rap Basket, I guess this will be exclusive for you, that it's gonna be a full audio visual project. Like you'll be able to watch me make this project from start to finish. Because I can got a Patreon, I can got YouTube, I can got a vlog channel, and I want people to kind of see the process of this for the next year. Will I fail? Will I succeed? Will I try at something that I can't create yet because I'm not ready? So maybe Rap Basket might be a step behind what my next project should sound like. Like that's all the things that you can tune in and find out. I ask myself that every day, bro. Probably not. The thing about being a shit talker, right? is that at the end of the day, all the shit I talk kind of do fall in the same category too. Like I haven't won a Grammy yet. I haven't charted on Billboard yet. I haven't won even a local. Oh no, I won Gain-On award. Bigger Gain-On. But I mean, I haven't won what my contemporaries in like hip hop would say as like the equivalent of like a BET award or, So in a lot of ways, a lot of things that I say aren't tried and tested. I got people that fuck with me musically because of what I do and who I am as an artist and as a person. But I still trying to constantly chip away. Like for me, it's like Rap Basket for me is trying to create my version of a classic project. So yeah, I can still shit talk because I like it. I like being braggadocious. I like putting that pressure on myself because it's like, again, bro, like I told you, when I done this 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 3 years from now, 2 years from now, God putting breath in my lungs or whatever, like, I won't be able to be like, you know what, bro, I trade, dog. Even if, God forbid, like, I was to pass, no, like I could close my eyes saying, yo, you know what? I do this my way, Like, nobody can't take that from me. You know what I mean? There ain't a record out there that I didn't put my all into. You know what I mean? Maybe they got some things that come out that I could have done better. But that's all we like. But my whole thing is like, I'm not afraid to fail and try in a very public way. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid to put records and be like, that wasn't it. Because if I keep it on my hard drive, then I never know. At least I know if I put it there and it flopped, I know that, right? And this definitely wasn't it. You know what I mean? But, and that was a lot, like the first 12 days of independence, a lot of songs were like that for me, like, because there was freestyles. There was like, I had 12 days to make 12 songs. So like, obviously, you can get a song that might hit, and you can get a song that might not hit, And that's my battle dog. That's my shadow box. That's my trying to find that middle ground of being conscious and still figuring out life, and still getting out and partying and still gaining a soak effect and enjoying myself, Like there's a duality to that, and that's a duality I try to maintain. Because there are facets for all of that, you know, dog. Like, you could be a conscious person. You could like to go and walk up. You know what I mean? You could be a scholar and you could go in and drink a bottle of one A man raw because you just get horny. You know, like it don't matter. The reality is all of us got shit that we going through. You know what I mean? Relationship problems, family problems, you know, work problems, whether it be your work for yourself or your work at a job. You know, you're going to a workplace, you always encounter people that can come and try to test you. Whether you work for yourself or you work for a boss, it don't really make a difference, dog. In this life, we can all go through challenges. But the important thing to remember is that only you hold the keys to your destiny, you know, dog. Like, and that's something that I had to really like come to terms with myself. Like, I could tell myself I'm depressed on this side today, or I could get up and I can make this work. Some days, most days, I can lay down and be depressed. But if I could get up 4 out of 10 times, 5 out of 10 times, every year, I just getting better at it. Eventually, I'm gonna hit 9. I might not ever hit 10, but I might hit 8. I might hit 7. And my 7 out of 8 would be enough to get me a mansion. My 7 out of 8 might be enough to provide for my family. My 7 out of 8 might be enough to put my records where it needs to be, or, you know, put myself in a different financial bracket, or help the people in my community. So, yeah, that's where we're at, dog. It's not about being perfect. You know, it's about figuring out where you at in life. If you at 4 out of 10 good days, and that's all you can manage, and make that 4 out of 10 work for you. You know? And that's where you're at. And you see, and that goes for me and everybody else that doing this from Barbados, you know, like, nobody has to be an extremist like me. But I would say, yo, like, if you're doing soca music, dog, make the best soca music you can make. Build the biggest vibes you can build. You know what I mean? Because we have so many talented musicians, artists here that are untouchable. You know what I mean? If you're doing dancehall music, dog, tell the rawest story you could tell. Because no Jamaican don't hold back when they're making their music. Them is talk their story. So do what you gotta do. If you're making rap, figure out what that is for you. You know what I mean? If you is a 16-year-old that just left school and you ain't got no direction, Google is your sensei. You know what I mean? YouTube is your sensei. Find some sort of direction for yourself and where you want to go. If you want sell snow cones, if you want be a carpenter, if you want be a lawyer or doctor, whatever it is, whatever your journey is, dog, like, my job as a musician is just to provide the soundtrack for that. You know? And that's my goal. That's my servitude to the world. You know? Well, actually not the founder of Silk Road. The founder of Silk Road is a young lady by the name of Priyanka Devani. She came to Barbados and she kind of saw the scene and how artists really didn't have a live venue or a show to perform at. We did a launch party in 2023. We did the festival in 2024 in April 5th. We're looking to do the festival again next year in 2025. And it was all Barbadian cast in terms of who was the headliners. Myself, Lee Phillips, Chris Irie. We had Tumal Hill there back in. We had Haynes Music Group there back in as the big band for the core artists. And the festival is not only music, it's about arts, fashion, and culture. We had a fashion show. We had DJs of multi-genres and principles. We had tattoo artists. We had massage therapists. You know, like, everything that Barbados has to offer was packaged and sold and presented at this festival. And that's what Silk Road does. We find who are the true heart of the communities wherever it goes, because it's not only in Barbados. Because they do a lot of initiatives in Kenya, in Africa, and they had done an exchange program in China and Asia before. So it's like Barbados is one of these stops where we're trying to create this natural community of artists who could come and showcase their their skills. You know, um, not all of us are in soca or any mainstream genres, but that doesn't mean that we're not masters of our craft. I mean, if you watch my Silver performance, everything was a presentation of culture. I had Mother Sally's in there, Steel Pine, big up the dancers from Multifarious in there, my boy Jamal, Cash, big up my boy from Area 47, Guy, Meeks, who played the Mother Sally, big up her. At Ignite for doing the Fire Breathing, big up her. And we was all trying to curate this thing. And I paid for most of that performance in my pocket because I wanted, to me, it's not about money, about you. What you get is about the presentation that you give out. You know what I mean? And to this day, people that went to that festival will message me and say, yo, you was the guy that had the Fire Breathing, you said, dog, that was crazy, dog. Like, your raps was clean, you know what I mean? And that's what I want to create. I want to be a performer. I want to be, music is about being, like, forget my ego. Music is about servitude to your audience. Whether it be the person that paid for that ticket stub, or whether it be that person that stream your record, whether it be that person that turn on that interview about you and hear something and be like, yo, I can follow Sivers, man. You know what I mean? Like, it's about servitude. Yeah, there's an ego element to it where I hard, man. The boy can't touch me. You know what I mean? But moving my ego out of it is about servitude. It's about giving back. It's about how does your set make that person feel? You know what I mean? When they leave here, whether you do a good or a bad performance, how do you improve upon that for the next thing? And that's what we're trying to figure out. Yeah, for sure. For sure. It can be a mixture of local talent as always. And it's going to be something that captures whoever and whatever is the heart of Bajan music at the time. You know what I mean? Whether that be in R&B, whether that be in spoken word, whether that be in poetry, whether that be in rap, like myself. And where it's gonna be and how it's gonna be held, we can get more details out soon. But as for now, I can tell you from my set, like I was telling you, I was coming here, I trying to make the best audio-visual presentation that I could do. So whoever else performing on that stage, whether it be myself, a bigger name in between or whatever, I know that I could close my eyes and say, yo, I have one of the better performances that night. You know? And that's my ethos, really and truly. If you haven't realized it, but no. Like, I really in a constant battle with myself. You know, like, the whole shallow boxing thing is literally a concept of that. Like, I want to continue to fight who I am because I know there were days where I was low and I didn't feel like doing this. And I remember what I feel like. And that's the one thing about our people, right? I would say, when you was real bummy and out, you was fight you hardest to never go back there, bro. And that's where I, you know, like personally, financially, everything, I just fight my hardest to not go back to them days. Well, you can find me on social media at the same thing, Sivers the Third, SIVERSTHA Third on all my socials. YouTube, the Patreon, gonna be the same name too when it start. You can find me on YouTube, you can find me on Instagram, you can find me everywhere that's accessible. There's a little IT project I'm gonna be working on soon. You can find my stuff there too. Ultimately, if I had to say anything to encourage people to listen to my music is, if I'm for you, I'll get to you. You know what I mean? I honestly believe that. I don't think every musician or every artist is for everyone, but if you're somebody that like thinks about life in a deep way or really just wants like an escape, my music is that, you know, because that's what you're trying to accomplish. If you looking, I can give y'all a crash course, spark notes on if you want to do this, right? If you want to get into music, my advice to you is find, buy, download, bootleg, purchase a book called Everything You Need to Know About the Music Industry. After you done read that, build it. Big up pipe. Crazy things we doing. Big tune. Anyway, let me go again. So I would say everything you need to know about the music industry by Donald Passman. I would read that book, any version of it. Probably from 2011, probably from the 11th edition and up. Next thing I would encourage you to do is look around yourself and find people in your life that believe in what you're doing right now when no money is involved, and build your team. You know what I mean? Whether that be you first manager, you first videographer, you first engineer, and kind of if he no learning to mix, he no learning to shoot cameras, and you no learning to be an entertainment person, if y'all come together and build something, like you could scale up together. I would say, so yeah, read that book, build your team. I would say, figure out what you getting into this for. You know, you getting this for the money, you getting this for the women, you getting it for the fame. I mean, I know that might sound stupid, right? But really think about what you getting into this for, because you can have some times where you can need to like fall back on that, your purpose, your ethos to keep pushing, because it might not always be a day that you get to go and do a Chune in TV. It might not be a day that you always get to go on radio, you know? I always tell myself, like, things like these is like blessings, because people take time out of their life to come and sit down and talk to me, you know what I mean? And that doesn't always happen in this artist thing. Take time to travel, go and see the world, you know? Whether you work in a regular job to save up to do this, take some time out to go to LA, take some time out to go to New York or Canada or wherever there is another industry, because what's happening here is not real. It's not the actual music industry. None of these people here can help you. NCF can't help you. None of these people can't help you. The only way I can help you is yourself. NCF give you money. You know what I mean? People can loan you money, but if you don't know what you can do with it, if you don't know where you can push this music, if you don't know what your marketing campaign is, they could give you $10,000, $100,000, you can still fail. That's the reality. And the last thing I would say is just believe in yourself. You know what I mean? I still remember the first time I heard myself on radio, and it was such a like crazy moment for me, because I used to make music telling myself, nah, boy, I ain't never gonna get up on the radio, boy, because they be here talking with some politicians doing this and government doing this and gangs doing this. They never gonna run me. And the first time I heard Bridgetown on the radio, I was just say, yo, if I could capture this moment. And I had a lot of moments like that in music. Like when I first came out, I used to do this show in St. Lawrence Gap, Big Up Herman, at the Cove, called Avenue. The first time I did the Avenue, I remember loading all the stuff on the back of my friend Roach's pickup truck and looking at the stars on my way home saying, yo, I just did a show with over 107 people there that only had rappers on it. I ain't even 21 yet, and I do all that myself. That's crazy. You know what I mean? And I really do, since that day, I search for moments like that. So that's my advice again. Hold on to them moments when you win. You know what I mean? Because they're going to be your badges of honor for times where people may ask you, man, when the music coming, or, yeah, man, I ain't hearing nothing from your own. That performance was trash. I ain't really like that man Sivers, you know. He think he know everything. Like pockets like that, you know, you can get times like that. You can get criticisms. You can get pushed on. People can tell you things that you may not even believe to be true about yourself. But yeah, you gotta hold on to them moments for sure. My last piece of advice: learn finances. Learn the business side of this. Get an accountant. Start a bank account. Track out every dollar you spend in this shit, and figure out how to create unique budgets. Like me, Darren, and Lamar do things with shoestring budgets, dog. Sometimes $0, but sometimes we might get funding. You know what I mean? But like, regardless of what we do, we try to do we best. Ain't about the money, you know, dog. Like, ain't really about the money. Like, look at the Bridgetown music video was me going to Flash On and asking a favor. My message just come true. I went there. I tell my boy Mixie here, I know get a camera, yo, bro. I got this amount of money. I need to shoot this video. Easy. You know, sometimes it's not necessarily about a man work might cost $5,000. But because you know he got a relationship and because you build a rapport, the man might give it on a free. Or the man might give it for $500. Or the man might give it for $2,500. You know what I mean? Never be afraid to ask the price of something. Even if you can't afford it, at least you know the price. At least you know what you're working towards. And the last thing I would say is, regardless of your family or your friends or your girlfriend or whatever you got going on in life, up to you. You hold the keys to your destiny, bro. Or sis, whoever it is, you know. You hold the keys to that. So just believe in yourself. Yeah.
Sivers, thank you for coming on.
Big up to Chune TV for getting these streets and talking to the people, you know. It's a beautiful initiative, dog. Like I said, I saw you from Sam interview, and I'm just glad. Thank you for taking time, bro, and just give me this opportunity, you know. Yeah.
You could always look at me and say that.
Nah,
I do it.
we good, we good, we good.